Hi everyone, this is Miss Chow and I'm going to show you in this video how to assemble your own microscope so that you'll have something like this, and you're each going to get a kit from Miss Nawa's, something like this. So what I suggest you do for this video is you want to watch it and then pause and follow along. You shouldn't watch the entire video and then try to remember all the steps and assemble. It's easier if you go along, you build along with me. So pause the video whenever you need to catch up. So the first thing you're going to do is dump out all the parts from your kit. Don't let any of them roll off the table like that. And then we're going to sort out all the parts. So first, look for 4 long pieces. They look like these. This is going to be the tube of your microscope. Now look for 2 big pieces, as well as this piece that looks like a rectangle with little hooks on it. These 3 pieces are for the body of your microscope. Okay, now we're going to look for the parts for the stage. So you need 2 of these kind of comb-like pieces, 1 piece with all these notches in the middle, and then the big ring. These 4 pieces make up the stage of your microscope. And then you have all these little tiny pieces that we're going to figure out. So you have 1 long skinny piece, that's the dowel. You should have 2 gears. And you should have 1 big circle, that's your focus knob. And then you should have 2 kind of medium-sized circles with little arrows on them. These are your locking rings. And then you should have 7 little circles with little rectangular holes with little notches in them. These are your spacers. Okay, so these are all the parts you should have in your kit. If you're missing any of them, please let Ms. Nawas or myself or Mr. Fonstedt know. Then you're going to also need to get a few more pieces. These will probably be up in the front of the classroom. So the first thing is a little mirror that you're going to need. So in the little mirror, what you'll notice is that it's covered with this little film. So use your fingernail and try to peel it off and you'll get a shiny little mirror. I'm not going to do that, but you should do that. Then you're going to need 2 lenses. Right? So they're in these little lens holders, these little plastic lens holders. So one of them it's basically the objective lens. And the way you tell that it's objective lens is that on one side you have a big hole, and then on the other side you have a tiny little hole. Right? So make sure that you get a lens that is like this, and this is your objective lens. And then you need the other lens. You need 2 lenses for your microscope. This one is the eyepiece lens. So it's different from the objective in that both of the holes on both sides are big. Okay, so you should have all of these parts of your microscope, and then you're ready to get started. So the first thing we're going to do is assemble the tube of the microscope. So take your pieces for the tube and we're going to lay them out. So first look for this piece. This piece that has kind of hooks on the top and hooks on the bottom, as well as a hook in the middle. This is the back part of the tube. And then you want to find 2 pieces here. The 2 pieces with these little slots on top and bottom, these are the sides. And then the last piece is the front. We're going to start with the back piece. And you'll notice on the back piece here that you've got the hooks on the top, hooks on one end, hooks on the other end, and then this extra hook. So the side that's closest to the extra hook, this is going to be the bottom of your tube. So when you're building, make sure you remember which side is the bottom. So in my case, when I pick up this piece, I'm going to keep pointing this side that has the 2 sets of hooks closer together, that side on the bottom. So you take the back piece, and then you're going to take one of your side pieces and you're going to slot it in. So the only thing to pay attention to with this is that when you're slotting in, make sure that the open slot on the top and the bottom are pointing away from the back. So in my case, my back piece is kind of facing to the left, so I want the open end of the slot to be facing to the right. Take the other side piece and do the same thing and make sure the open side of the slot matches. So now we've got this little tube with open slots here. Before we put on the last piece of the tube, we're going to add on the lenses. So on the bottom part of your tube, that's where the objective lens goes. So objective lens, again, is the lens that has one big hole on one side and a tiny hole on the other side. So we want the side with the tiny hole to be on the bottom, so facing out of the tube. So you slot that into this little slot and it should just fit. Okay. And then for the eyepiece, that's your other lens. If you kind of softly feel it, one side is flat and one side is curvy. You want the curvy side to be facing into the microscope tube. Okay, so you slot it on and make sure again that so the top side here, this should be flat, and then this side is curvy, and then you're ready to slot on the last piece on the front. So add on the front piece of the tube, and it should hopefully slot on a little bit easier than what I'm trying to do here. There we go. And you've got the tube is completed. Okay, so again, here's the top, here's the bottom, here's the objective lens, here's the eyepiece lens. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is for the stage. So grab all the pieces for the stage, and this part's pretty easy. You're just going to put the little combs or the little hooks through this little rectangle thing here. So when you slot it in, you'll see that there are two ways to slot it in. In one way, you'll make this little overhang, and this thing is kind of sticking out. You don't want that. So flip it over if that's the case, and make sure you make a little stage that has nothing sticking out. So your stage should look kind of like this. And then the ring is just going to go on one of these little levels here. Okay, so finally, we're going to create the body of the microscope. And so we're going to start by taking the dowel. We're going to slot one of the locking rings onto the dowel. So you go into here, and then the locking ring has the little notch, and that's to help you so that when you put the locking ring on the dowel, get it to the thin part, you're going to twist the dowel, and that will lock it. So now you can't really move. The locking ring is not going to fall off. Right? So you've got a dowel, and then you've got one locking ring. Now you're going to put one spacer, and then you're going to grab one of the bodies and slot it into the hole in the middle. Okay. Then we're going to continue adding to this little skewer here. So add two spacers, and then add the two gears, two more spacers. And then before we add on, so this is where we would add on the other side of the body, but before we do that, we want to put the stage on, because otherwise it becomes really difficult to add the stage later. So you kind of have to have many fingers holding everything to keep everything together. So now you've got your dowel that has the locking ring, the spacer, the body, two spacers, two gears, two spacers, and then the stage is going on this little rail here. And now you're going to add the final piece here. So now you kind of see how you got a microscope. Okay, so we're going to add on the rest while trying to keep all of this together. We're going to add two more spacers on the outside of the body. Then you're going to add the big ring, that's your focusing knob. Okay, and then finally one locking ring to lock everything into place. So, and again, once you add the locking ring, you want to twist it so that it locks into place. Okay, so now this is kind of stable. So this is where the mirror comes in. The mirror is going to go on this bottom part. So you kind of try to fit it in here into the little holes, and it should stay right there. And then finally, it's still a little wobbly, so that's where the last piece with the body comes in. So this piece will just slot right into here and stabilize everything. Okay, so there's the microscope, the main part of it. And then we're going to add the tube onto it. So this part just kind of slots in. You kind of have to wiggle your way into it. And then the little hooks attach. And you've got a finished microscope. So now what you need to do is get a light source, and you're going to put your microscope lamp that Ms. Nawaz has over here, and then put a slide on here, and then try to see if you can see the image, see what's on your slide.